Now, I just want to show you something else that happened in Brazil because it's both interesting and important, but also incredibly pathetic, but also darkly hilarious. Brazil has a major problem with gambling. It legalized gambling in 2017. There was this interim president who took over when they impeached the elected president. He was incredibly unpopular. He left office with 4% approval rating. He was basically there to carry out an agenda of serving banks and austerity that nobody elected. But he ascended to the presidency, and in his lame duck period, when he was already on his way out, when the election had happened, and they elected Bolsonaro, and he was on his way out, he issued an order legalizing sports betting in Brazil. And almost overnight, there were dozens of companies and with apps allowing anyone to bet. You transfer your money into the betting account and then you start betting. And it grew very quickly, including slot machines and other computer gambling. And what has happened is it was done basically without any regulations. And a huge numbers of poor people, Brazil is a country with massive income inequality. A lot of poor people survive on a pretty innovative welfare program where they give monthly payments to mothers as long as they keep their kids' health certificate updated, take them to the doctor, ensure they're going to school. So they demand things of the family to get this payment. And other people just have, very small amounts of resources. They get the paycheck once a month that barely pays their expenses. And so many of these people now are addicted to gambling. They just have the apps right in front of them. They immediately get this money, they transfer it to the gambling apps. Obviously, they're doing it because they're told that they have a chance to get out of poverty and become wealthy. And instead, as you can imagine, huge numbers are going massively into debt. And some people have committed suicide over it. It's a horrific problem that has really exacerbated the problem of poverty and income inequality in Brazil. And one of the most significant drivers of this, of poor people downloading these apps and betting all their money to feed their family, to pay their rent, is that you have these gigantic influencers, like Instagram influencers, kind of like Kim Kardashian types, who are just, mega famous for being Instagram influencers. They're beloved primarily by younger people, by poor people. And these companies, these gambling companies, are paying these influencers millions and millions of dollars to constantly promote gambling to their fans, their poor fans, their young fans. They're like, oh, this is the way that you can get rich. They fabricate videos showing the influencer betting and winning all this money. And they're like, you can win tons of money. And obviously people look up to these people. They have very wealthy lifestyles. They want to be like them. And they're getting very rich, these influencers, on encouraging people to gamble, even knowing they have a very young audience, huge numbers of poor people. And then oftentimes these multi-million-dollar contracts with these influencers include a provision that says, if you increase our profits by a certain percent, you then get, in addition to $1 million, you get a cut of that increase in profit, meaning these influencers have an incentive to create as much loss for their following, for their audience, their fans, as they can. They hope the more money their fans lose by betting at their, on their links or their part of their app, the more money they make. It's such a dystopian thing. I mean, these people are so rich. These people with like tens of millions of followers on Instagram for doing nothing but being influencers. And then on top of that, you need so much money more to encourage people can't afford it, whose lives are going to be ruined. Just constantly bet by encouraging them, by using your influence and the credibility that you have over them. So the Senate, the Brazilian Senate, decided it was going to create a formal committee, like the U.S. Congress does, that gives them the power to subpoena people to conduct an investigation. And they decided they were going to subpoena these influencers, these mega famous influencers, mega rich, mega famous influencers, to go and testify before the Senate about this very serious matter. And last week, they began with, or maybe she was second, this woman named Vanessa Fonseca, Virginia Fonseca, who is basically the most famous and beloved Instagram influencer in Brazil. I guess you could call her the Kim Kardashian in Brazil, not quite as globally known, obviously, but she has like 55 million Instagram followers, hundreds of millions of followers across platforms. I mean, she goes anywhere, there's a huge uproar. So they decided that they were going to call her and interrogate her, like you would in an investigative committee, about her contract with them, about what she's doing, about whether she even thinks about the harm she's causing. And instead, these senators were so giddy and enamored that they were in the presence of this 26-year-old Instagram influencer. All their wives and daughters love her. That instead of questioning her, they were like throwing compliments at her. And then in the middle of the session, one senator, this is a federally elected senator, after praising her and defending her, he stood up and asked her whether he could bring his phone up so that she would make a selfie and a video saying a little message to his wife and daughter are huge fans. Let me just show you this. Here's what happened. His name is Senator Cleitinho, and you just have to see this to believe it. He says, you are a generator of wealth, you create wealth for the society, you create jobs, so keep bringing this to the society. What we need is for us politicians here, with all due respect to the excellent present here, but the real excellence is her, who pays our salaries, her taxes are rigorously paid while we are a source of expenditures. I'm not here today to point my finger at you, but to persuade you to try and touch your heart so that you may now start doing advertisements against this kind of gambling. In fact, I'm finishing up here. Can I quickly ask you to send a greeting to my wife and my daughter? And they all laugh. And she's like, for sure. And she has a little pink cup there and her sweatshirt. And he comes up and she asks what the names are of the wife and the daughter. And she does a little selfie video for them. Pats him on the back. He seems not at all embarrassed. And can you imagine being a senator and then calling this 26-year-old influencer who's doing immense harm? You have created a committee to investigate it. Instead, you're like, thank you so much. Your wealth is so important to us. You pay our salaries. You're doing great things. Do you mind if I come up? And then after, the leaders of the committee and all the other senators lined up to take selfies with her. Here's several of the senators. There she is in her sweatshirt that she decided to wear with her jeans to the Senate to testify in the Senate. There's actually a rule, by the way, that if you testify in the Senate, you're supposed to wear a suit, but it didn't apply to her. And there these senators are posing, smiling, when the whole point is supposed to be that she's this evil person who's getting richer and richer by destroying the lives of her young and poor fans by encouraging them to engage in an addictive behavior that destroys their lives and their families' lives. I don't know, it's just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. One of the most pathetic. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.